Historic percentages of students are reading below the basic level. Check it out. Reading scores have faltered over the last decade, flattening and then starting to decline in 2019. Now, more 8th graders than ever before are scoring below NAEP Basic, the lowest benchmark on the test. 1/3 of 8th graders are below that mark, while 40% of 4th graders fall below it as well. Studies have shown that scoring basic on NAEP is roughly equivalent to scoring proficient on many state tests. Students who fall below it lack important reading comprehension skills. For example, a 4th grader scoring below basic might not be able to determine the main idea or purpose of informational text. Scores are down or remain unchanged across student subgroups by race, gender, and socioeconomic status and reading. Most of the patterns at the national level are reflected across different student groups, Carr said. Students' reading achievement has marched steadily downward, even as dozens of states have launched large-scale transformations to how they approach early literacy instruction. As the science of reading movement has gained traction, at least 40 states and the District of Columbia have passed laws or implemented other policies requiring schools to use evidence-based methods for teaching young students how to read. The majority have passed within the last 5 years. In part, this legislative trend was spurred on by the success of Mississippi, which saw big gains in its 2019 NAEP reading results after making a host of changes to reading curriculum, teacher training methods, and instructional coaching starting in 2013. But only one state, Louisiana, has exceeded its pre-pandemic achievement levels in 4th grade reading. It's now the national average for reading achievement. The state mandates teachers complete a literacy training, a common requirement among states with reading laws, and provides a teacher-developed curriculum designed to grow students' background knowledge, a key predictor of reading comprehension ability. Louisiana is evidence that states can still make gains, Carr said. I would not say that all hope is lost, or I would not say that hope is lost, and I would not say that we cannot turn this around. It's been demonstrated that we can, even in reading. Even so, there's evidence to suggest that students are growing less comfortable overall with reading and writing, and that this is correlated with lower performance. In this chart here, you can see for 4th grade reading, staggering from 2013 to 2024, how many more, almost 10% increase in subpar reading abilities. That's scary, folks. So you can't blame this all on the pandemic. As we look at reading level 8, even more staggering, an 11% increase in underperforming students at the 8th grade reading level. I'd be lying to you if I said I was surprised by this news. I'm not. Pandemic probably has something to do with that, but at the same time, what were your kids doing this whole time when they were home? I know some schools, well, most schools try to provide the distance learning. Obviously, some students were subject to better curriculum that came with distance learning than others. I understand that. But outside of the school scope, what are they doing at home? Are they reading books in their free time? Doing anything that can strengthen them in their reading and writing skills, or even other skills for that matter, in their free time? Or are their brain cells rotting on TikTok and all this other stuff? Listen, I don't have any kids, but I know a lot of people with kids, and I've seen a trend, especially over the last decade. These kids don't read books anymore in their free time. Many of them don't, and a lot of parents don't enforce it. And I understand it's hard to do, especially if they don't want to. They're not going to find enjoyment in it, and they'll sit there and not retain anything, not try to understand, or maybe not even read at all. They'll just stare at the page. I used to love reading as a kid, But I wasn't just going to pick up any old book and read it. There's certain things that I had no interest in. But I would read things that I found particularly interesting. Science fiction, fantasy and horror, things like that. Goosebumps, Animorphs. I thoroughly enjoyed reading these things. And it helped me use my imagination. I don't need a video and a picture for everything. Part of the beauty of reading is picturing everything in your head as you're reading. Let your imagination take control with the guidelines of the text as the framework. It's beautiful to me. I love it. There are other books too. Island of the Blue Dolphins. I love that book. The Hatchet. I love that book. I've read so many books. I don't even remember the names of some of them, but these are the ones that stood out to me growing up. I'm reading now. Again, I stick to my things that I like. Science fiction and fantasy. But it helps me stay on my game when it comes to reading and comprehension at the same time. Ooh, I forgot one. If you like science fiction and fantasy, Sir Apropos of Nothing. Great book, by the way. If you like all that stuff, dragons and griffins and unicorns, Sir Apropos of Nothing. And I'm actually reading one of my friend's books right now. Well, actually, I finished his book. He's doing a series of books, so I'm waiting for the second book to drop. But seriously, these kids don't like reading anymore. They want everything told to them or just watching things. And it's not good. It's not good. Everything is TikTok and YouTube. And a lot of that stuff is corrosive. It's not improving these children's abilities to read and write. It's not. Or even apply any type of critical thinking or computing in some type of way. They're not. I am more encouraging of watching educational content on these platforms as opposed to brain rot. I'm not saying that they can't go on these apps and have fun, but if they're spending the majority of their time doing only this, it's not improving them, but it's also giving them this complacency and being, for lack of a better word, couch potatoes. I guess you could say modern day couch potatoes, to be honest. And this stuff is addicting. These algorithms know exactly what to feed your children to keep them glued to these devices, digesting garbage a lot of the time. You ask 10 kids today what they want to be when they grow up, I guarantee you 60% of them will tell you, I want to be a YouTuber or a TikToker. That's not even a joke. I've had parents tell their kid, oh, Boo has a YouTube channel. Their eyes light up. You're a YouTuber? I'm like, oh my God. If only they knew. Be like, yo, what's up, kid? What'd you do today? I got a TikTok video. What? You have to create a TikTok video? Or you created a TikTok video? Or you want to watch a TikTok video or want to make a TikTok video? Kid, could you try explaining to me your use of a TikTok video in proper English, please? Let's start there. Give me some good sentence structure. Please, let's start there. But that stuff doesn't exist if these kids don't like reading, don't like drawing useful information to help build these fundamental core skills that you need throughout life. Listen, my mom, she was all about education. If we brought a C home, we were grounded. A's or B's only. But even during summer break, when we're waiting to start that next grade, that transition period, she had us in workbooks, 1 hour a day or 1 hour every other day, whatever it was. You're going to do some math. You're going to do some reading. You're going to do some writing. All right, let me check your work. Okay, good. Now you can go out and play with your toys, go outside and play, ride your bike, do your chores before the night's over, all that stuff. We had time to have fun. play video games, things like that. But we also did things to make sure we stood sharp and were on our P's and Q's when it came to our education. Now, I'm not saying every parent needed to do that. That's just how my mom was wired. I'm sure we would have been fine without it, but it did help me run into the new school year a bit already lubricated and ready to go. I can honestly say that. I'm sure I would have been fine either way, but I'm just saying. Seriously, I really don't see young adults reading much anymore, and especially kids. You know, you go to somebody's house nowadays, the kid doesn't have a single book in their room. Not a single book. You'd be lucky to find a single book in the house, to be honest with you. If they're devout Christians, you might find a Bible. But I can promise you, most kids ain't picking the Bible up and reading it. Hell, a lot of adults aren't. Then some people say, okay, you know, do the Kindle or whatever. I'm not a big fan. I like having a hard copy book. I can feel the pages. I can smell the pages. I can fold the corner of my page. I can put a bookmark in it. I can take pride in how much of the book I've read when I see those pages on the left so thick. I've read this much in this amount of time. I'm so proud of myself. I love that feeling. I do. And for me, reading something on a tablet doesn't compare. I feel like my eyes are already exposed to these LED screens enough. Probably more than they should be, to be honest with you. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. And I can't blame everything on the pandemic. I can't. I think there's a multitude of factors, and I think a lot of it has to do the transition of digital media and what kind of things people are consuming and absorbing on a day-to-day basis, particularly children who can get sucked into this vacuum, and it's hard for them to pull out of it. I've always felt like TikTok is an application for people's brains to ride. And not just TikTok, other apps as well. But you get what I mean. A kid can't give me proper sentence structure. A kid can't read a paragraph and tell me what they just read. But they could get on here and do a TikTok video, all this. I could do a TikTok dance for you. I can't tell you what this page meant or what they were talking about, but this TikTok dance is all right. Come on, man. Yeah, scary times. That's all I got to say about it, folks. Let me know what you think about it. Sound off in the comment section. That's a wrap for today's episode. I appreciate each and every one of you for stepping in, showing your love, showing your support, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Now, I could sit here and smack you all around with the generic like, comment, subscribe BS, but nobody gives a damn about that. So do whatever the hell you want to do, because you're going to do it anyway. Now, I'm going to give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead. I am Boo, and I am out.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.